Scorpio, welcome to your reading. I've laid your cards already to see whether you want to stick around. We've got how many majors have we got? Two majors. And it seems to be about this idea of partnership. So it's not a huge big deal, but there's something to do with how one progresses in a partnership, how one makes it viable. So there's a lot about love here, and it feels like a very sort of strong bond that might be under a little bit of stress at the moment, but it's not one that you're prepared to give up. And nor, whatever this is, whether it's with, I remember someone once saying you're always married to something, whether it's your work or your partner or your pet or your sibling or whatever. This partnership that's so key to you is wonderful, and it needs to be maintained. But I suppose it feels as if there's a tension between being in partnership and growing. That's just my hit on looking at. So if that feels right, then let's stay around. So I've got this new deck, and I can't remember what they're called. Yeah, I could look, but anyway. So I'm not sure what I think of these illustrations yet. But this is what sort of gives me the first hint. So it's the Lovers. Let's get this in focus. It's the Lovers. They've got rich outfits. They feel as if they're so wedded to each other. It's a very happy union, and yet they're able, particularly one character, is able to look away from the other. That's how I'm seeing it. She's got her back almost to him, but is getting a lot of security from him or her to be able to look elsewhere. I'm talking about this one, the one with the yellow. I don't know if you see that too. Maybe you should see what you see rather than me telling you. Anyway, now it's going to find it difficult to focus. Yeah, so it feels like a strong, strong union that you have with a concept, a person, whatever you are married to, whether it's an actual sort of spouse or not, or a long-term partner, that gives you enough strength to look outside of this union. And it feels very supportive. That's how I was seeing it. But how that makes you act on the outside is wonderful. It's the King of Pentacles. It makes you want to honour this, to uphold it. But in this particular illustration, they're very dark blue, these pictures, and that pentacle is half hidden by the castle. It feels as if it's kind of a concept in your mind, how important this union is. This choice that you've taken to partner with something feels very, very conceptual and shadowy, but the way you're acting is that this should be defended at all costs, that it represents great security for you. It gives you a sense of status yourself with this castle and your hair. What else can we see there? It's interesting what comes to light. I should actually have a light on this table. Yeah, so something about it being quite conceptual, but it's a very, very important stabilizing partnership. In the basis of the reading, though, we have the Five of Swords. So it feels like there's been a bit of tiffing going on recently. So let me see if I can get this to focus. Come on, focus here. So I mustn't show my face because it always wants to focus on the faces. Yeah, there we go. Those 5 buttons, this shadowy face again. Whoever's won does not feel good about it. It's a altercation that no one feels like they've won. It feels very like a waste of energy, really. So maybe because we've got 2 5s here, we've got 2 4s, there's a sort of bit of butting up against this partnership. Maybe it's a long-standing one and there's something that keeps coming up that you can't win the fight with, or something along those lines. In the recent past, we see the 7 of Wands, and it's like you're drawing a line with your wands here. So normally with the 7 of Wands, there's somebody with a shoe and a boot on who's stood on higher ground and is trying to sort of beat off all these competing needs. Here, in the recent past, there's a bit like, nah, non-negotiable, I'm drawing my line, I don't want this anymore. This is almost a bit more like the Nine of Wands. This is like, here are my boundaries, you do not get to pass, leave me alone. And again, it's someone in green. It's interesting. So this battle has become a little bit of a line in the sand. It's almost become, there's an issue here that you're returning to over and over again. One is on one side of this, that's how I'm seeing it, the other is on the other, or one partner particularly, maybe the one that seems to be the most entrenched in this argument, but no doubt if you were on the other side, you would think it was them, has said, this is my line in the sand. That's it. I don't want anything more to do with this. So one potential outcome, interestingly, with another hand-holding couple is the Devil. And this is a sort of partnership that you can't live with, can't live without. You're totally addicted to. It's presided over by a sort of sense of codependency. So the one in the yellow in the Lovers looked very supported. This is your inner life by the partnership. Here, it doesn't feel like that anymore. She doesn't seem to be, she feels a bit rooted by this figure here. She's looking towards the Devil in my mind anyway. It's interesting what you'll see because these are quite surreal images and impressionistic, where there's a lot of room for interpretation, which I think is nice. So that one eye, that one red eye. So suddenly, as one potential outcome, we're seeing that actually, because of this altercation, the partnership could start feeling a bit like codependent. In the Knight of Wands, so something about it that can't move, and yet at its basis in your heart, this is somebody that you love very much, or this thing that you've chosen, whatever it is you're married to, that you now feel a bit addicted by, is actually basically very supportive. Coming up in the near future, the King of Wands. I like that. It feels as if it's a breath of fresh air. It feels as if there's some movement now because this is kind of focusing on business. This is focusing on CEOship. You've got your salamander or your lizard here. This is kind of disengaging from the fight and thinking more in an entrepreneurial way. It could be a person that comes in between this partnership, or it could be a sort of dynamic, driven energy that kind of, I'm feeling it brings a little bit of space. Although, of course, with the Devil, it could be something to do with that Devil. It could be a bit tempting, potentially. Whatever it is. Your attitude is the Four of Cups. Your attitude is, typically in the Four of Cups, we see someone sat like that, with 3 cups in front of them all standing. The hand of God is offering them a new cup, and they're saying, no, I don't want it. Here, there's 4 cups already in front of you. But it is a card of resistance. Now, what can I see here? Like a window up here. There's a window of opportunity. You're very shadowy. The cups are it's very obvious what's on offer. And yet the figure, I think, has got their back to it. It almost looks like Thomas More. It's funny to me. His face, that famous portrait of him. He feels as if he's turned his back on all this offer. So this is your attitude. It feels a little bit resistant, if I'm honest. It feels as if you're not completely honouring the beauty of this relationship. But let's see. It will become clearer as we go on. In your environment, the Two of Cups. Yeah, again, we're returning to what a lovely partnership this is. Back now again to this ability to see together, to have a joint vision of these mountains together, the comfort with those cups, the fact that they can actually see quite large vistas, such beautiful scenes. That is quite what they can achieve together feels quite sort of ambitious with those mountains. They can get, mountains in the tarot often represent our achievements and our challenges, and this couple feel supported together in that, and the woman particularly uplifted, but they have their different cups, indicating that they're allowed their own personalities, and yet they're together. So that is your environment. This person, this thing that you're partnered with, is still very, very supportive to you. In your hopes and fears, the second 5, the 5 of Pentacles, again a couple. wanting to get into that church, but also somehow fearing it. Is there a deep fear of kind of deepening this commitment that feels incredibly committed already to me from the cards that we've got on the table? But here they are headed towards the church as far as I can see. And that is what you really hope for, is some sort of return to a supportive environment, not this kind of Five of Swords that we've seen coming up before, not this snowy ground. You need, you know, that you realise that you're not in a very healthy place, and you need to get back into that church, into a place where you're relating to each other again. And then the potential outcome, the Four of Coins. I like this because it means you hold on to that that partnership. And you, with the golden crown, it feels as if you understand its value. You don't squander it, and I think you suddenly value it like a saver would. Sometimes we say the Four of Pentacles is a bit stuck, but here, I can see two glasses. There's one waiting for your love. There's one in your hand. There's this gold crown. Again, it's a bit like back to the King of Pentacles with his crown, but it started to come into sort of focus again. There's a sense of treasuring what you've got and not wanting to let go of it. Although, if I'm honest, there might be a frustration that it still feels a bit stuck. Let's see what cards I've got right in front of me that we can cap this with. What have we got in here? We've got these fun ones. Can't remember what they're called, but let's see. Let's cap this reading for Scorpio and Rainfall people. I keep doing these readings in the rain. It's that season. Okay, we've got 5. I feel like I'm going to take them. One on its own, the King of Torches. And this was genuinely on its own. So there's this energy that's abroad, this kind of self-serving, really dynamic, creative, kingly, dynamic force. So that's interesting. It wants to emphasize that and then we've got the Wheel of Fortune, the Six of Pentacles, the Universe, and the 10 of Torches. These cards, to me, the Wheel of Fortune is about jumping in to effect change. It says to me that this character can move you on a little bit in this situation, can get this partnership moved into a different environment, because we've got the Wheel of Fortune, which is when you jump in to change the course of something, you effect change, which is what you need to do, obviously. The Six of Pentacles, which is about reciprocity, everybody getting what they need, which is, I also feel like, what you guys need. Oh, and then I missed this one. The Universe, which is you back in the center of your world, everything back in order again, a culmination, a sense of completion, as if that part of the story is done again. And then these two cards, the Page of it is the Princess, yes, the Page of Swords, who's the strategist. It says, come on, you can make a plan here, even if this is quite confusing. You can do this. This is worth trying to save or mature. And then this, which is curious, the 10 of Wands, which is a bit like the Devil energy, to be honest. It's like the minor to the Devil, which was your potential outcome. So it's kind of saying there is maybe still going to be a sense of burden, a sense of codependency, a sense of sort of passionate workaholism. It could be that this isn't a person at all. It's just something that you do, that you can't give up on. And that is still in the mix. So I'm just going to pull one more card from well, it might not even be the last cards, but let's see what I've got around me at the moment. I'd like to know what the Rider-Waite feel about how do you clean up that codependent element by working with all elements of the situation. The Three of Pentacles, by acknowledging all the voices here, by cooperating. I think there's just got this tightened knot of this Five of Swords where there's a sort of sense of not listening. Could even be about marriage counselling or bringing someone else into a work situation, because there's a third person suddenly now between these two. I feel that is worth strategizing, because this is clearly worth saving, and there is a lot of passion there. I wonder who, I'm just going to ask, who is this? Let's see if I've got anything in that one. Yeah, I've got the Witch's Oracle here. Let's try that. That's been winking at me. But who is this King of Swords? Let's just find out who that is. I'm just interested. Who is the King of Swords? Sorry, Wands. The Ace of Swords. So he is the King of Swords Wands that I was asking about. It's a sort of passionate interior voice inside of you, or a person that enters in, and maybe this is a therapist, maybe this is a third person in a business, who can think clearly, who can cut through the negativity, who starts with new ideas, who won't take any of the negative bullshit anymore, who just moves you on. This energy needs to be accounted for. Now let's get, because they were winking at me, let's get one of these Witches' Oracles and see what comment they've got. So let's have a comment for Scorpio and Rainfall people on this kind of partnership, this marriage, whether it's with a person, a thing, a pet, an idea. Nemesis, lessons. I'm going to have to read it. I don't know these. So again, a very fiery figure. And it says lessons, number 35, 25, which is a 7, like those 7 of Wands. And it's a balancing, it's a kind of toadstools, which remind us of this season. The balancing of the water and the apple. Let's have a look. Number 25, let's see if this makes sense of everything, pulls it into some sort of order. Nemesis is the goddess of retribution, of forces that come into play when we need to be steered back to a wiser course. Okay, like that kind of third energy that we're trying to bring in, or your own energy of that very clear Ace of Swords. She shows us that we must take responsibility for all our negative thoughts, words and deeds, and understand the effect they may have on others. God, I just, sorry, I know everyone says it when they're reading cards, but I just do love how this happens. I just do love how it happens. The symbols she holds indicate her wish to cleanse the human form, the bowl, in preparation for bringing it back to love and wisdom, the apple. How beautiful. You're cleansing this kind of silly 5 of Swords, this altercation with your sword of truth. You're cleansing it so it comes back to love and wisdom, which is what the apple represents. And you're using your King of Wands energy and this third person, and also this strategic Page of Swords. Okay, meaning. Nemesis is visiting you as a sign that she has witnessed what's been happening around you. She stands as guardian in order to offer protection and acknowledgement of some form of injustice. Okay, so maybe it's you that's had this injustice done on you. Sorry if I'm assuming it's that you have to take all the responsibility for it. I mean, it could be that the other person is doing it. Life sometimes has to go pear-shaped in order for rightness to emerge. You're in the process of helping someone or something to emerge into their own light, and the truth will shortly be revealed. Wait and watch as things unfold. If you're asking a specific question, Nemesis indicates that the answer points to a negative. This is not a time to act. Learn and take the opportunity to grow. The high note is the power of truth will prevail. The low note is embrace life's lessons in order to grow. Lessons, karma, destiny. Yeah, this could have felt like a really, really difficult time. So that was me asking for further clarification. Let's ask for some advice, just to close this out. How can this union turn into the lovely holding on, but in a healthy way? Cone of Power, 34, energy. So this again has got all that light energy. Let's see what this one says. 34. Cone of Power. The Cone of Power is a term used to signify building up a force of conscious energy and then sending it to something requiring energy, attention. This could be a healing cone, a protective cone, a creative cone. In fact, any form of energy. The dunce's hat, for example, was intended to energize the mind. The witch's hat also takes that shape of the cone. So this is about solar plexus energy, focus, energy, concentration. It's very much the King of Wands type energy that's come out twice. High note, energy is focused and activated. Low note, be appropriate with your energy. Well, I think it is about activating and using that energy, and that cup there, that you want to heal everything so that apple gets back. Cone of Power signifies that you have energy at your disposal with that King of Wands, and that it can be utilized for the highest good. Focus upon your intentions. Feed any creative flames with positive affirmations. This is a really good advice. And consider what you may like to give to others to help them on their path. It's still feeling as if there's someone you need to help. Opportunity is available for fresh energy to illuminate an old or tired situation. Your energy will be required, so expect a call. If things have become too serious or intense, find places and situations that will feed and nourish you. Let others lead sometimes so you can rest. Look also at the possibility that you are taking from life without giving back. Be mindful. They're quite sober, these cards, like this reading is a little bit. But I like the idea that it's talking about focusing your intention on helping someone and this situation to bring fresh life. It says, of course you can hold on to this. Of course this is going to be okay. You're just going through one of those blips. It's only a couple of majors. It's not the worst thing in the world. And remember about your clear-eyed lack of negativity that will allow you to hold on and bring this love back into the apple form of healing and nurturing again. You've got the power here. It's really talking about these two King of Wands. Yeah, King of Torches, King of Wands, they're the same person. All this fire is what you need to do to transmute and energize this situation. Get out of your mind, get into your passions, focus your intention, and focus it on healing and helping if somebody's in a bit of a hard way. But you can heal this, you can breathe fresh life into it, and it's very worth holding on to. See you again.